Okay, welcome everyone. It's Mr. Lagarde, and this week we're going to try something a little different. We're going to do a little programming language, the simplest programming language basically out there, called gcode. Gcode's pretty cool because it's used around the world in manufacturing, and lots of things use gcode in behind what they're doing to create things. So, and we refer to this as the CAD CAM CNC continuum, meaning that CAD, we design the object and draw and design it. And then for any type of CNC machining, the CAM software takes the model in and processes it and turns it into tool paths that drive machines to create something physical. These tool paths are generated in a really simple language called G code. Sometimes it's referred to G and M code, but many different CNC machines use this language underneath. So 3D printers, CNC routers, laser cutters, water jets, egg bots, and large industrial machines. So what I really mean is, here is a CNC router. So your next question would be, hey, Mr. Lagarde, what's this egg bot thing about? So let's check out an egg bot. So probably the simplest CNC machine ever, the egg bot. So we're going to create a simple example, and here's our example. And we're going to plot this, and it's in a 7 by 5 stock, and we're going to create the code to do that, and I'm going to show you how to do that in a second.
Okay, so I hate to do this, but let's talk about math for a second. So as we all know, Cartesian coordinate system, x-axis, y-axis. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is called absolute coordinates. So all that means is, if I want to go from this spot, which the coordinate is 1 comma 1, to this spot right up here, which is 4 comma 1 comma 4, those are absolute coordinates, right? So if I want to do that, and I'm at this spot, it's something like x1, y1, whoops, y1. If I want to get to that spot, in the next row, all I have to do is put in the coordinates y1, x1, y4. So those are absolute. Now, the other way to do it is, if I'm at this spot right here, so this code to do this, absolute coordinates, is called G90. That's absolute. But if I want to go from this spot, which is 2 comma 1, to this spot, which is 2 comma 4, and I'm using incremental coordinates, or also sometimes known as relative coordinates, and the code is G91, I can say, instead, once I'm at that spot, so I'm already at this spot here, and I want to go to here, all I have to do is tell it that we have a change in x of 0, and we have a change in y of 4. Now if I want to get next to this spot right here, which is 3.25 comma 1, to do it here, I have to say change in x, and the change in x would be 3.25 minus 2, which is 1.25, and then the change in y from 4 to minus 1, or to 1, is a minus 3. So this is called incremental. You'll also hear this sometimes called relative, and this one is called absolute. So absolute gives you the Cartesian coordinate system every time. Okay, so now let's talk about our example here. So we have this great looking smiley face, and I've set it up with some hints on the top. So one of the things before we get started, I just want to talk about this right here. So if I want to cut an arc or a circle, I have to, first of all, get it to the starting point. So in this case, I want to get to that point, 0, 2. And then I tell it whether I'm going to go clockwise or counterclockwise. So in this case, I'm going to go clockwise. So I say G02, and then I tell it what the endpoint is, so x2, y 0.5. But then here's the weird one. I use an I and j, and I say, what is the distance from the starting point, so there's my starting point, to the center of the arc, which is 0, 0, and that is in the I and j. So in this case, the difference is a difference in the x of 0 and the y of minus 2. So x, so there's my full thing that's going to get me from here to cut to that spot. And that is called motion in a clockwise or counterclockwise. Sometimes you'll hear them people refer to it as circular interpolation, but we'll just go with motion counterclockwise. Okay, so let's talk about our code now to cut this. So this is my cutting tool. I'm the router. So first of all, I'm going to say G90, and then I'm going to go G00, which is rapid motion, and I'm going to say go to the point 0, x0, y0, and z1. I want to lift it up 1 unit so it's not going to break anything. So at this point, I'm going to go move over to this point, x 0.25, y 0.25, and turn the spindle on, which is M03. Yeah, okay, that's enough of that. Okay, then we're going to bring it down in the Z minus 0.5. So it's actually cutting into the surface. And then we're going to start cutting the rectangle. So the first thing we're going to do is go X 0.5, Y 4.5 up to here. And then we're going to just keep going to those coordinates. So X 6.75 and Y 4.75. Again, X 6.75, Y 0.25, and then X 0.25, Y 0.25. Okay, so at this point, we'd lift it up, Z1, and then we're going to move it to the start of the circle, and we're going to start at this top part, and that is 3x 3.5 and y 4. And then we would drop it down to z minus 0.05. So it would be still cutting, and it's now at the start. Now at this point, this is where it gets tricky, because we're going to start this circle. So we got to change it as G03, which is motion counterclockwise. And then we tell it what its finish point is. So X 3.5, Y 4. But remember, then we have to give it an I and J value. And the I and J value relates to the center point. So we would say, what's the distance to the center point for X? Well, X would be 0. So it's I 0, and then J is 1.5 units down. So that would cut that whole circle then. Then we would lift the tool back up again. We would change it to G01 to move it over to the next circle and go through that same process. So I will give you all of the code so you can follow along right here. Okay, that's it for the first one.
Once you've created your code, you're going to come to a place called ncviewer.com. You're going to copy and paste your code in here and then run the simulation, and then you'll see what it is. You'll take a screen capture of this and hand it in to me. So let's have a look at that. So I've created my CNC code right here in Google Docs. You can use whatever program you want. And I'm going to take this all and I'm going to just copy it. Go to the NC viewer. Here's their example. We're going to select it, paste ours in there, and then we're going to plot ours. And you can actually go step by step and watch it make the toolpath. So here it is, and you can go step through. So there's a starting point. We're down to cut, cutting out the rectangle, lift it up, go down and cut out the circle next. Good luck.
Your assignment is to create the code for I heart ? You're going to do this by figuring out the coordinates of the points, plotting the G-code based on the first example, and then you're going to test it at ncviewer.com. Good luck!